Yes, sir. Give
Woo!
thanks and praise. Are you fabulous dissidents? Greetings, welcome, love, power, wisdom. Thank you for coming tonight. My buddy PK and I, we're always chewing on the gravy, always chewing on the gravy.
We
And
do. We do.
yeah, so we felt compelled to come forward and fire up the Millenniagram Falcon and take a few flights around the stellarium and to play around with what the heavens seem to have been indicating all of our lives.
Hey, well, I'll be back in one quick second.
You got it. Yeah. That's kind of the fascinating thing that both PK and I are really marveling at is the fact that the meteor showers are like clockwork, that they actually express themselves regularly, and that the peak expression of the meteor shower is the same day every year. And so we're really honing in on the nuance of some of these correspondences around the zodiac and in the stars, as we have a strong reason to believe that the archons of our day are reenacting these cosmodramas on the world stage. And I'll just do a quick recap on the Navaratri ritual. Sorry if my notifications are beeping. The Navaratri is a Hindu observance of Durga fighting off evil for 9 days. And it moves around the zodiac because it's based on the lunar cycles. And I have come to believe that the lunar cycles are fully operational, particularly on the private side and the undisclosed calendars. And a lot of people who are into the stock market will tell you, yeah, if you want to do stocks, you got to know your lunar calendars. I don't speak stocks, but I definitely speak psyops. And so the Navaratri, it kicked off 1 year ago in the fall Navaratri. It began at the beginning of October 12th, which is Friedrich Nietzsche's birthday. Was the I hope that's not okay. We're good. Yeah, Friedrich Nietzsche's birthday was the beginning of a 9-day Hindu ritual expressing the 9 Devis that I've discovered are correspondent to the 9 muses from Plato's Symposium. And then, sure enough, that was the fall Navaratri. Well, then on the spring Navaratri, on April 8th, the very first day of Navaratri was the eclipse, the Great American Eclipse. And I had a very powerful personal experience on that day in observance of the beginning of Navaratri, on a fun little pilgrimage to a historical moment right there at Carbondale, Illinois. And then as we come into the summer, it was Kyle from Tippecanoe Herbs, bless our brother, who found that there's a hidden Navaratri that is in the summer and the winter. So it's at a 90-degree axial tilt, and it's kind of a marcation of the halfway point between the two public-facing Navaratris. And he pointed it out just days after the ear castration event of old Chumpster getting popped. And that was on the 7th day of Navaratri, which is the perfect Devi for a trauma event. It's the Devi whose name is Kaalratri. And she is riding on an ass, and she's holding a big sickle, remover of obstacles, kind of Kali Ma motif. And that was on the day that the trauma event of Chump getting his ear squib anointing, when that took place. So now I'm paying attention to these Navaratris. And sure enough, we're coming up on the next one, and it begins on the solar eclipse. It's adhering to these lunar cycles on a different kind of calendar that would slide under the radar. So we're kind of bringing it to surface, and we want to play around with the dynamics of the heavens over the upcoming month. because there's a comet coming into the scene, and it's going to pass over the sun, just like the bullet grazing the ear of the presidential candidate, the sun daddy, Mr. Golden Child, Orange Man Bad. There's a comet that's going to graze across the ear of the sun during the exact same time frame of this upcoming Navaratri. So the comet comes in pretty much on 10. It's a 3-day thing because it's moving very slowly over vast distances, allegedly. But it comes in right around what will be October 8th, 9th, and 10th is when it passes over, grazing the ear of the sun. And so my grand theory is that the Chump event was an echo, a presaging of this comet Atlas that's going to graze the sun. But what was wild is the moon was on Spica when Chump got popped in the ear. The moon was exactly on Spica that day. And sure enough, when the homie comes out of the bushes at Mar-a-Lago, some homeless dude, some bum, some hermit out of the bushes. This hermit is in the bushes. He was waiting around to pop one, whatever, or get popped or start the fireworks. And sure enough, that happened when Venus was on Spica, the same location where the moon was at the first assassination. So yeah, these cosmodramas are really rich if you're paying attention to the celestial bodies, because they seem to be the script by which the archons of our days are presuming to embody. Is that a good summary, PK?
So good. And I have like a million questions, but let me just ask one. So from your understanding, what is this Navaratri? Like, just high level overview. What do you know about it? I know you know the dates and everything, and I know it's about like their 9 devas, right? But do you know some like more details? What is it about? I guess would you call that Hindu?
It is Hindu. Yep.
Yeah.
And the thing that really excites me is because it's more ancient, because it's more mysterious, there's a great amount that can be lost in translation. But to find the echo of those 9 Devis reverberating in Plato's Symposium, that I happen to know is the touchstone bedrock of culture, and that is so pivotal. It's so pivotal. But I want to say this: the Devis are gaining worship. They are worshipped, like actively. There's like requirements. Some people choose to fast and abstain from the world for these 9 days. So there's votive offerings. And there's a kind of a...
So is it 9 days because you got different times of the year? Are these different times of the year each 9 days?
Yes. And I'm not sure who's I think the moon is determining. I think it's the waxing moon. They're always harnessing the waxing moon's cycles. And so there's something of an impregnation to that, that's like a belly that's going to get fuller, but it's also like the word Sera means wax, but it's also like it is also your mind, because images are imprinted onto your mind. So your mind is the cerebellum, and these ceremonies and these waxing moons are all, I think, still ritualistically alive and well. And it just kind of tickles me because I can tell that because this is Hindu in its origin, then it became Greek. It predates the Abrahamic Rochambeau that a lot of people are caught up in. And I think it's really fascinating. And as well, there are a lot of names around the Navaratri that are in our common vernacular, like Devi. Devi happens to be Kamala Harris's middle name. Her roots are from both India and Jamaica. So she has this bloodline going back to the East. And also in some derivatives of the Navaratri, there is a required Tulsi plant at the end of the ceremony, they will bring a tulsi plant and they dance around the tulsi plant, which, as far as I can tell, is pretty much basil. I think it is a basil. But we have also another presidential candidate. Her name is Tulsi. So, yeah, as
Okay.
well, I'll say that Lady Frida Harris, who made this deck, her last name is Harris, the same as the soon to be presidential candidate, but she was buried in India, in the northwest corner of India. So I just think it's fascinating that there's something to be said about tapping into even older systems and seeing that they're alive and well, they're preserved. And I think they are part of that preservation is how oblivious we are to the moon cycles. So yeah, that's kind of where my mind is, to look to the lunar calendar for more of the old ways, you could say.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for that. So what did you title this stream? Spica equals tag ear sploDing.
Exploding.
Exploding.
I believe that all of this conflagration around Spica is also threaded through the story of the exploding pagers. And part of that is that Spica is a pivotal star. It is such a pivotal, important star. And I want to kind of understand better why that is. I'm coming to believe that it is the lantern that the hermit is carrying in this card. I think that he's literally holding Spica in his hands. And, but I'm going to say this. The Spica appears to be the fetish of Virgo, the Virgo constellation. She's holding that chaff, and we kind of wove on this I posted a notice on my channel to tell people about 20 minutes ago that we're coming, and I put some images in there if anybody wants to look to those images. But this chaff of wheat, strangely enough, the symbol for Virgo is an M with a big fish on the hip of the M, right? It's got the fish shape to the glyph that is the Virgo glyph. That fish is on the hip exactly where the sheaf is. And sheaf in reverse is the word fish. So the fish and the sheaf of wheat are correspondent because a 180 degrees from Virgo is the fish, is Pisces. And so ever since Queen Elizabeth, she died around this time of year, I realized how important the fish on the spring, end of winter, corresponds to the. Oh,
Let's see what.
Nice, buddy.
Which one are you talking about? This
one?
No,
let's go to keep going. One more.
Well, so these are the only ones that you sent me in the
okay.
DM. So is the one you're talking about in what you sent me?
There, that one. Let's look at that one. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, man. So yeah, that sheaf of wheat in her hands very much looks like this, whatever the M is holding on to, that strange, looks like a fish, and the word fish and sheaf are opposites. But also, I'm thinking of this as the fetish. Also, the fact that she's holding on to it, she's like, it's almost because she's in a birthing position. So to some degree, it would be like, here, bite down on this while you bear down to give birth. It's like something she's clenching or holding on to. But a fetish is a very fascinating thing. It is defined, a lot of us sexualize the idea right away, but there are way more fetishes in our life than we realize. The mouse clicker is a fetish. The phone is a fetish. All these implements that bring us comfort.
Yeah, the old definition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is not sexual at all.
Right.
Like how they used to write about it.
And also sheaf of wheat and the feet of fish, all those letters could be amalgamated and condensed to just their bare fundamental consonants, and it becomes fetish. Sheaf of wheat, feet of fish. You reduce everything, and you have basically FTSH.
Yeah. Let me
And then
try and
one more
yeah.
quick share. The German word for Virgo is Jungfrau, Jungfrau, Jungfrauen. Young ladies would be Jungfrauen. Jungfrau is just singular. But if you put a D on that, you have the name of the two granddaddies of psychology, Jung and Freud, who gave us the idea of fetish attachment, or proliferated. I'll say they proliferated the term fetish between Jung and Freud. It's a profound, profound truth right there. So I'm very convinced that the exploding pagers are correspondent to the Spica star, which has Mercury is about to catch up to it, the sun is about to catch up to it, and then a big fat comet is going to blaze over it, just like Chump's ear castrated event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So PK's been looking into what the F with these meteor showers and what's going on with how do they explain their regularity and predictability.
Yeah, and it's been kind of a wild journey so far. I think so. First, what I got to, like, you know, I've screenshot some stuff I want to share from some. I got basically 2 books on meteor showers and comets, and so the generally the accepted, you know, mainstream or belief today is that meteor showers and meteors come from comets, the tails of the comets. And so basically when they zoom past the sun, they go close to the sun, but then they have this like very elliptical orbit. And so when they go close to the sun, you know, their tail gets all excited or whatever because it gets hot. And then as it zooms, you know, back out to wherever, it leaves a trail of its tail dust behind. And that is what the Earth passes through to give us the meteor showers. So that's the, like, you know, current paradigm belief.
You know, one thing one thing I want to say, I have always known about the fetish as it is implemented in pagan ways, the old ways. I've known about this for a very long time, and only recently have I come to appreciate how science is just repackaging the old ways constantly. And I believe that the placenta is treated in an assortment of ways in the old traditions, but I happen to know that the fetish bag, in one of its most pure implementations, is actually a vial that contains phosphorus, mustard seed. Mustard seed is high in phosphorus. It's one of the highest concentrations of phosphorus. So you put mustard seed powder in a vase, and you put the mucosum from the umbilical cord in that, and it's preserved. And they would put that in a bag, and sometimes they would wear it around their waist, not even around their neck, because your neck is too public. You wear it where even down here where it's secret. And then you can use that for an assortment of things throughout your life, but it's packed with this, the healing nutrients from your origin, from your source. And I've always known about that, but only now am I looking at the full implications of Virgo as this birthing location She's also, not only is she supine, like she's giving birth, which we happen to know is not the best way to give birth. I even suspect that the doctors are going through a cosmodrama when they tell women to assume the worst position possible to give birth. They're literally exalting her up like Virgo is, despite what it's good for. But then there's a cup right under where the baby would pop out. There's a cup, and that's the Crator constellation. And it's on top of the belly of Hydra, which would be much like the umbilicus. And then there's an owl right there for wisdom. So the fetish of the old ways has been so lost. And just like Linus with his blanket, today, full grown adults are running around. They feel naked without their cell phone in their hands. And then we find out in the news. Oh, by the way, I got to say commodity fetishism. Commodity fetishism was given to us by Karl Marx. And I believe when they ran out of toilet paper, thanks Belphegor, when they ran out of toilet paper, the stock market was investing in facial tissues. And they were throwing our own commodity fetishism in our face. And it's happening again with the cell phones. The commodity fetishism and our attachment to these things, I think we're being cued to disengage, to break away from your technology dependency and grow the F up.
Right on. So what I had today or tonight to go over, I was thinking do a little history on this comet meteor shower stuff, because when I started looking into it like surprisingly what's out there is fairly recent. And what I mean by that, it's at like 200 or 300 years old. And then like, you know, and I'll show you guys when we get into it, but then it was like in the 1800s, like some guy, these people like saw this crazy meteor shower, and then they noticed it was at the same time the next year. And then, you know, so it's like this story, and it's like what it's just weird to me that they make it sound like our ancestors didn't know about these annual recurring meteor showers that happen at the same time. And it's just like, dude, we all know they looked at the stars like hard, right? Like they built stuff you know, related to the stars. So it's like just a weird thing that, you know, they're kind of like making this claim like, oh, it was just until, you know, recently when technology improved that, you know. And of course it's got the whole idea of like, oh, we got it all figured out now, don't we? Like, you know, we're so much smarter than our ancestors. And you know, so there's a lot of that flavor in you know, these books I've researched, and just like, you know, just general scientism and stuff like that. What I'm looking for though is remember I posted that picture on, here it is. Let me save this into this folder here. This is Swift Tuttle. I like to call it Swift Turtle. And that's a comet that they say, the term is, they say it's the parent comet to the Perseid meteor showers. So basically they attribute the what we see in the Perseids is like one of the I guess, what do you call it, brightest or the most active, that's the word. Perseids and Leonids seem to be the two top most active from what I found. Do you agree with that, Gabe?
Absolutely. And I believe that correspondence between the Perseids and the Leonids is symbolically in mythology. The Cleonian lion is a lion skin that the hero wears. And I think of Orion as the spring hero, almost always the protagonist. But the fact that he's wearing a lion's skin that's like 60 to 80 degrees away from him over on the across the zodiac. But I think that is because these are the two most prolific meteor shower seasons. And so corresponding the Cleonian lion skin to the hero wearing it on his shoulders is, I think that so many of the mysteries are systematic and provable that these correspondences play in, because it's during Leo is when the Perseid meteor showers are kicking off. It's 8-12 is the Perseid meteor showers.
Okay, that's interesting. Wait, I, okay, you said that's when the Perseid meteor showers are kicking off, or the Leonids?
I should say that is the peak date. That's the peak date of the Perseid meteor showers is on August 12th. But it has a very long expression. That's another thing is when we
I think they're all connected, dude. I think
I do too.
So my like gut feeling just, and we've just dipped our toes into this. But just so everyone knows, like we're still, looking at all this stuff and, with open minds and, like right now I'm showing you a picture of, the earth revolving around the sun. I'm not even sure, that's a thing. So let's just be very clear what we're doing here. What I'm showing and presenting is not like necessarily what I believe. But so what I was getting at with Gabe is why, you said it was like during Leo or whatever. To me, why I asked, because how they determine where these meteor showers come from and thus give them a name, right, is by camera, photography, telescope, whatever, and they determine that, oh, it looks like most of them are coming from there, and they kind of like pinpoint a spot. And so when you were saying, if the sun was there where they're saying it's coming from, that doesn't make sense. But that's not what you were saying. So that's why I asked, though.
Yes, it is really nuanced, and I'm glad we're beginners on this path together. You got to kind of get more potent at conveying the language of the dynamics.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
Because it's that if we're in Leo, that is just saying that the sun is rising in Leo for that month. But
you're saying tropical Leo,
right?
So there's another like a whole nother thing.
Totally.
So
yes.
Yeah.
But then while we are temporally in the Leo season, over in the part of the sky that is basically Auriga or Taurus and Orion, in that segment of the sky, there will be a light show popping off. So it's like
I think you're more in Virgo, because Spica actually, if I remember right, isn't Spica the first degree of Leo? Yeah, Spica denotes the beginning of tropical Leo.
Okay. Well, if we're in the time of Leo, there's a light show elsewhere on the zodiac. And so,
sure, yeah.
Yeah. So it is very tricky in that. So temporally, the first thing we're saying is like in sequence, it's following the temporal zodiac. But then the next thing we talk about with the meteor shower is not in the location. And that's interesting that it's almost never, think of this, PK. It's never that we're in August and there's a meteor shower in the Leo part of the sky. In fact, there's almost there's something of a
I haven't looked at it that hard. That's interesting.
It's somewhere.
Yeah, that's
Yep, outside of about at least 80 degrees or so from.
Well, it would make sense in the fact that it kind of has to be, because
the night.
But I wouldn't put it past mainstream science to be like, oh, there is a meteor shower here. It's happening during the day, but we just can't see it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so, just the fact that, so that goes, because if you probably think about it, I don't know. If I think about it a little bit more, I'd be like, yeah, it wouldn't make sense, because well, the sun's there, so the sun isn't going to let a meteor shower happen because it's all going to burn up or whatever, you know. Yeah, so this is fun, and I feel like, you know, if we go back and listen to this conversation, we're gonna be, you know, there's gonna be a lot of O's, or like that was dumb, or like whatever, you know. So this is fun. I love learning. I love so what I have here is I have some mainstream history I want to show you guys, and then I have a some Steiner, Rudolf Steiner gravy. I think what he has to say about the comets is pretty fascinating and enlightening. So you want me to run through this history I got?
Yes, absolutely. One thing on Swift-Tuttle, I just want to point out Zeno's paradox. So often I sense that the social engineers and the priests of the astronomy society are sending mixed messages our way in a very perplexing intention. So a swift turtle is definitely the definition of the Zeno's paradox formula, yep. Where if Achilles is racing a turtle, he only gets halfway to the turtle and the turtle has progressed. So how can he ever catch up with the turtle? So a swift turtle is absolutely hailing to Zeno's paradox, which is, I still think they run games based on that. They still run that game on people.
I thought it was called Swift Turtle for, you know, when I first started looking into this, and just like glancing through the names of the comments, I'm like, oh, Swift Turtle, that's cool. But
totally.
No, it's Tuttle. So.
And that one more thing, I often question, is accelerationism an antidote to the Fabian slow tiptoe of totalitarianism? Fabians are all about doing it slow. Accelerationists are like, rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with. Or is accelerationism the sheep that the Fabian wolf is clothed in? So I just wanted to put those two things in here as we're talking about Swift and turtles. I definitely see accelerationism and Fabians kind of hand in hand here.
Yeah. So this here is kind of the what's given to us to be the cause of the comets. All right. So the comets have this very long elliptical orbit, and every you know, so many years, and it changes every loop, right? It's not all, that's when I say 133 ish, because it's not always 100. This doesn't always take 133 years. So, but this little blue circle here is Earth, you know, in the heliocentric paradigm. And basically, from what I could tell, this is kind of what all comets do. They have this orbit that is very long like that, but always close to the sun. So it goes around the sun, and you know, then spray, but you see how it's not parallel. So I have like another thing we'll get into also that's just like total possibly make believe, but maybe mathematically sound. Not sure, still trying to figure all this out. But they have the list of meteor showers here. I can see everything at once, and I could speed it up, and it's like, you know, now, do I think this is what's actually happening? Yeah, no, I don't. But is it possible that these patterns correlate with what we see, like from Earth, as far as the meteor showers go? Maybe. So it's interesting to see all these tools and, you know, what's out there, and kind of just learn from there. But yeah, so,
you know,
yeah, I found that website today.
Nice. One thing that I'm still chewing on. I need more practice with, but I recently dusted off the what is commonly referred to as Tycho Brahe in his cosmology. Apparently, that's not how you say his name if you're Danish.
Yeah, it was what was it?
It's more like
Tico?
Toku Brahe, something like that. But
Nah, I think it was like
yes,
Tico.
so
Yeah.
I've heard every different variation, but I will mention that his name encodes two cobras on high, two cobra on high, and that's two snakes on the caduceus is encoded in his name. But Tycho,
Interesting. Interesting. Hold on. Interesting. You say that if Marty's still here.
yeah,
So in Ecclesiastics, it's Old Testy, but whatever. In Ecclesiastics verse 4 or chapter 4:6, this thing right here is better let's see. Better is an handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. In the LXX, which is the Greek Septuagint, which I think that there's some evidence out there that possibly it was written before the Hebrew. I think it's an interesting rabbit hole to go down, not to get sidetracked. But in the Greek Septuagint, it's not about two hands. It's about two freaking dragons. It's two dracones. And it's
damn,
talking about how one doesn't toil, but two of them do. And so the two dragons toil. It's like totally thinking Kundalini type shit, or basically just like life, that one dragon at rest, there's nothing essentially, but then it's the two dragons that are toiling. It's the two dragons that are fighting. That is life. And Steiner has an interesting quote on this thing too, where he's basically saying like we are poisoning and detoxifying like all the time. Like that's life. When you work out, and you get cramps or you get muscle fatigue, it's essentially, you could think of it like poison, because if you kept overloading whatever's causing that feeling, you would die. Right. And so we're constantly I was like, man, that's very interesting, because I've always had this thing of like, what's up with the pharmakeia? Why is the poison the medicine, and that like connection. So it was just cool to kind of hear that it's like, well, shit, if you think about it, it's kind of the entire, just living in general is a constant poisoning, detoxifying, and it's all about that balance. But
totally. That's what that's the organ that's being eaten out of Prometheus forever and ever on the Analema, is that liver. It's being eaten out and restored overnight to only be eaten out the next day, just like getting back on the grindstone. And our buddy Kyle from Tippecanoe Herbs, he was talking about that cycle over on the last Vibrant on Interverse. Everybody check that one out with the bro hang that we did. And he was kind of referring to what people would think of the poison, but he was calling it other words like astringent or the cleansing agent. He had another kind of alchemical attitude on these factors of inevitability.
So look at this in Ecclesiastics 4:6, right here. If y'all know Greek at all, this right here is dracones.
Instead of hands,
this right here it's basically one dragon, and then two duo dracones, two dragons. And so it's like one hand, but then here it's just one. And man, I've even looked for like, hey, can someone transliterate the LXX Septuagint? And every translation I found, they say two hands. I'm like, no, this clearly says dracones, which, let's see, go to here. It's freaking dragon. It's dracon.
That's amazing.
It's not hands, it's two hands.
That's
it's two serpents, it's two dragons. Yeah.
I always point out how, archons is our hands, our hands. And in a healthy society, we are our own governors, and sovereignty should be in
Ooh,
our hands.
we're gonna get into governors.
Yes, yes. But I think we've
Hmm.
been programmed to externalize our self-providence, to consider the archons as our mayors and our whatever, our godmen on the stage. What you got here? What is this?
Totally. All right. Yeah. So let me go through this real quick. So this comes from a book that's called, I think this one's Meteor Showers and Their Parent Comets, by some scientists. So this talks about the, let me make sure this is, yeah, history one. So this list what the meteor showers are, and it goes, the most significant annual variations are due to the showers of, and it lists them out. It's got some in January, some in April. And so I've started to make a list of what they say are the recurring annual ones. And we'll maybe go over that a little bit more detail when we get to stellarium. But so and this says here, right, they're named after the constellation from which the meteors appear to approach us. So that's what I was saying kind of about the sun thing, if you were listening earlier when I asked Gabe about that. So that's how they name these meteor showers, by where the meteors seem to approach us from, right? So right here, the discovery of the radiant more than the periodic increases of rate defines a meteor shower. So what this is saying is that the discovery that they all seem to originate from this same place in the sky, this constellation, is then what they can call a meteor shower. So, and so this is where it gets kind of weird, because see here, this discovery was made in 1833, and now that's quite a claim. And it's, I haven't gotten into, and I don't know if like how far down this like rabbit hole I'm going to go, as far as like if I'm going to like read papers and crap like that. I'm not sure. But this first, just points at that basically it's all about the radiant. It's saying it's all about where they come from, originate from, more than the amount of shit you see in the sky. So I thought that was very interesting. You're going to name a meteor shower only because where it originates from, instead of like, yo, the sky's going off like on always mid-October, and like not sure where it radiates from, but we're not going to call it something because it doesn't all come from the same place. That's what that reads to me, and I don't know, that's kind of weird. But anyway, it says this radiant was discovered, this point of origination was discovered in 1833, and this is the like, I don't know, story. Basically the rates were first seen in 1831. Then a storm of the Leonids was noticed by city guards in Europe on the night of November 12th, 1832. When the phenomenon repeated the next year, they were like, oh shit, it repeated the next year, and was then like, oh, maybe these are annual things. Again, that just seems weird to me. This has dates of 1832, 1833. Like, what? And so I have a couple theories, right? There's a couple theories, right? One conclusion would be, well, is it possible that maybe they weren't annual at the, more or less the same time in the past, right? That's one possible reason. Or they're just lying. That's another possible reason thing, and I do think, as we'll read on, I do believe there is records of how do you say this, of like old ancient records, whatever. I think maybe they're Korean, something talking about annual recurring meteor showers, like at the same time, right? So, like I said, we're just kind of getting into this. So this is just an overview, kind of where I'm at right now. So let's keep going. This guy recognized the radiant phenomenon was caused by bodies moving on parallel tracks, centering or entering Earth's orbit from the general direction of Leonis. So he's like, oh, they're all coming from there, and whatever, based upon conclusions. And then they had to drop the 33 here. So it was then, after all this, then the dude was like, oh yeah, 33 years ago. I just thought that was interesting, but this just seems like a bunch of other trivial info talking about German scientist was on an expedition to Middle America and saw a meteor storm on November 12th, 1799. So it's very interesting. They are all about this November 12th, because back up here, the whole story of these dudes at these guards or whatever that were on duty right here, noticed city guards on the night of November 12th. And then they're like, oh, well, 33 years ago, this guy noticed it. So they're like, oh, now we're seeing a pattern, essentially, is what they're getting at. So let's go to this one here. The discovery of the periodic Leonids and the phenomenon of the radiant quickly led to the discovery of other meteor showers. See, before, they hadn't discovered meteor showers. They hadn't really more of observed meteor showers. And again, I think this whole thing stipulates that how they just said, well, it's not defined, or we don't call it a meteor shower unless we know the radiant or the point of origin. So I think that's the claim here, that, yeah, of course other meteor showers happened, but they weren't discovered, meaning they weren't, the point of origin, the radiant wasn't figured out. Therefore, it was called something different. Not sure.
Right. And I want to point out that, today, a lot of people's thoughts are moderated by the tall king heads on the screen, and we literally call them the media shows.
Mm-hmm.
They watch the media shows.
Yeah.
And so in terms of mind control, there seems to be today one-to-one correspondence to those who would manipulate your thoughts with flashy, fancy lights, smoke, and mirrors, and these events in the heavens. I do. My belief is that a lot of the ancient myths are based on this system. So far back that I believe it was hinted at as I was reviewing Hephaestos's forge, and the fact that he goes through his forge systematically. He's the strong-armed one, but they call him that because he has lame legs. Some say serpent legs. So he's strong-armed, but he's kind of wobbly because he's weak-legged. But then he has to go through his billows, and he's very careful about the order of activating his billows when he forges the shield of the Aegis. And
yeah, okay, that sounds very meteor shower.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So on my channel, I was telling everybody, imagine what a volcano looks like to us is like the forge of a god man. And when it starts to erupt, there's sparks coming out. We'll just turn that upside down in the heavens. And so theoretically, the forge of Hephaestus and his 20 billows, I found that very correspondent to the 20 major annual meteor cycles that I was able to capture. And I've been
dang, you got 20?
There's 20. And
wow.
Now, but here's the thing, I have found
I feel like there's different opinions, like depends on who you ask on that,
Totally.
It's very, very weird. Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
But you found 20. Wow. I didn't search like long at all, like maybe Googled it and read out of this thing, which only lists a few of them.
Right. So the 20,
but this is old.
okay.
Go.
Well, the list of 20 that I found was very intriguing, and it is kind of my cornerstone of the project is to, download those into the Mental Palace and the Slick Dissident program. But then as I'm researching them, I'm finding some that are not on the list. So yeah, I'm sure there are even more minor meteor showers.
I think some of them are the same. I think they're getting so granular with this shit that they're
Yeah.
separating them. They're like, oh well, this radiant is 0.325% off from this radiant, therefore that's a different
Yes.
meteor shower. They're getting like
Yes.
super granular with that shit. So just
Uh,
one thing to consider there.
and let's that exact theory that you just said. I think we're going to expand that out when we get into the stellarium, and when we play the South Taurid meteor showers, we can watch it do a progression and then even evolve into the next showers just a few degrees. But
Yeah.
but I just want to tell everybody, if this shower took place in November, on November 12th, it's likely the South Taurid meteor showers, or maybe even the North Taurid meteor showers, is the one that this discovery was made on. And we can tell that just by knowing the time of year that they were reporting on it. It says Leonid. Okay, that's what we're going to check that when we get to Stellarium. We'll be able to see the Leonids pick up right after the South Taurid turns into the North Taurid, and then it becomes the Leonid. And just like PK is saying, it looks like the same thing. It's just kind of like a skipping stone on the firmament. It's just jumping a few degrees and popping back up.
Yeah, so I read somewhere about that it basically said, I think it was at the beginning of this book. Give me one quick second because I think it's right.
And another thing to point out, this is going through November. And from what I could tell, October and November are very, there's a lot of meteor showers kind of happening one on top of the other, but they all seem to be, while we are, again, when we're in the time frame of October through November, the meteor showers are almost 180 degrees in the sky, happening over through Aries and Taurus and a little bit of Gemini.
All right. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I came across it somewhere where they were like, yeah, the North and South Taurid meteor showers, we'll call them basically the same thing. And it's like, this is common because of probably like what you're saying, Gabe. So like there's something already out there where even in one of these two books I was reading, they mentioned that they're like, and we're just going to treat the North and South Taurids as the same. Gave little explanation, but was just basically like, because like that's what people do. I was like, all right. So I don't know. I think from what I can understand, what it is basically like, all right, you guys saw in the first picture of like this thing, and basically the idea is, see how some are raining down and some are raining up. So it's like something like that. Like some are like coming more from the south and some are coming like, I don't know. That's what I got so far, that it's like of this arc, some come this way and some come that way, and that what makes them north and south, but they're from the same comet, supposedly.
Yeah. It's so fascinating how my mind is, ever since I got into the Tychosium, I want to do the same graphic that you just showed, but through with the Tychosium spin, and see if it
So
agrees.
I would recommend before you get like way too heavy into Tycho, go like read what is wrong about it. Read the critics of Tycho. And because I'm all about the new stuff and I like his paradigm and the whole like thing of Earth moving 1 mile an hour, that's totally just to do the freaking math. Like totally is. It's like 1 AU. 1 AU, 1 astronomical unit is the supposed distance from the Earth to the sun. And then basically everything else is calculated out, extrapolated out from this 1 AU,
Yes.
perceived distance. Or it's just like they had to set the ruler somewhere, and that's how they set it. So I think that's kind of this, and they call it one. It's 1 AU, and that's what kind of you look up. AUs, astronomical units of. They'll describe stars being so many astronomical units away or whatever. Right. So that's just a standard, and I think it's the same way with Tycho saying the Earth moves 1 mile an hour is just so that there's your like one baseline to then kind of do all the math for everything else,
And it also doesn't obligate the planets to so much speed. It also
it kind of slows everything down, which could totally be if everything was smaller and it could slow it down, but
big time.
So getting back into this talks about January, the August ones first widely known, and then it goes. So this guy not only observed the Perseids, but found many earlier records. The oldest by a Dutch inventor, blah, 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 which is just 1692 to 1761. Okay, so that's not the like super old one I was talking about, but earlier records of meteor showers. Okay, so now we're at like 1700s, but still. In addition, a well-observed 1803 outburst in the United States led to the discovery of a weak annual shower in 1838. So one main thing I'm stressing here is because I didn't know this till I just like looked into this a couple of days ago. The whole meteor shower thing is a fairly recent, I'm not going to say phenomena, that's not the right word, but it's a fairly recent label, maybe, because just look at all this stuff that they're saying, right? That it's like, oh, this was discovered then, meaning like it was named,
Totally.
So it might have always been there. I don't know. Or anyway, what I'm getting at is that they weren't named before, possibly, and I don't know. Now, so let's go here. Let's move forward a little bit. It says for the next 150 years, visual meteor observations mostly concentrate on plotting meteors in search of new annual shower radiance. And so basically, the next 150 years, they watched the sky, technology developed. Unfortunately, poorly drawn star charts and a common habit of accepting big circles for radiant association made many of these showers unreliable. So see here, now they're saying that there was a problem with the data that they had. So they may have had this old data, or, okay, no, this is talking about from, 1838 on, like 150 years or whatever, that people kept shitty records. Their radiance, remember, that's how they named these meteor showers. It's the origin. Their radiance were too big, and so it made these showers unreliable. Better criteria were needed to recognize streams. This became possible in the mid 20th century when photographic and radar techniques first measured the atmospheric blah, blah, blah speed of meteors and stuff like that. So as technology got better, they could then recognize the streams. They could then maybe narrow down this big circle, right? So even with these tools, it continued to be a problem to recognize different streams among the sporadics. So again, you know, there's this whole issue of is it sporadic? Is it annual? Well, that to me, you know, I think if it's annual, that should be pretty well documented, at least for the past, you know, how many years you got, like, you know, at least for the past, how old's that? It's, you know, 35 or something. No, like 30. At least for the past like 30 years, right? We should at least, you know, have some annual data. You would think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So continue to be a problem, and this gets into the whole granular thing of how, you know, kind of just what scientism, modern day science does. The Reign of Quantities, Rene Guénon, read that book, good book.
Nice.
This here, no, let's do
that's a good one. It's got the Jason.
Okay, you want to? Okay, yeah, let's switch it. You want to look at one of yours?
Well, no, the one that you had with the right there. You see the
yeah, but I was going to show the other one first. Hold on, I have another one that's exactly the same.
Okay.
This one, but it's like the recent one. So I want to show this one first, then that one.
Nice.
So this one is, see, this is how old I think the book is. The book that I pulled this from, you know, might have been 2000 or 98 or 96, whatever. So like, this is the rate hikes of the daily count of meteors in the years 94, 95. Look at this, dude, measured by some guy I can't pronounce, some Finn, by the means of counting reflected radio signals from far away TV or radio stations. What the hell does that mean? How do you measure? I'm not saying like this is, you know, impossible. I'm just, that just kind of blows my mind and fits with kind of some other theories we're working on here in the kind of off beaten path, if you will. Totally. But so this guy counted the meteor showers by pointing something up there, right? And counting reflected radio signals from faraway TV or radio stations. And then, so it just very interesting to me. That's one thing I want to look more into, like how in the world that just doesn't make much sense to me on his face. But you can see here, you got Perseids, and Leo really chills out. The Leonids really chills out. It looks like in 95, but Perseids is still going strong. Seems consistent. Geminids seem consistent. Kind of everything else is pretty consistent, except for Leonids dropped. So then, I think it's right here. This then, you know, and take this with a grain of salt. So let's just take everything with a grain of salt, right? This is the daily variations of meteor activity in the Middle Ages. All right, so like they didn't keep good. What did we just read? That the guy didn't, they were just bitching about records.
Yeah.
Accepting big circles for radiant association made these showers unreliable. So this was for the next 100. This was from the year 1840 to, you know, the next 150 years, in 1990 or so. So, you know, they're complaining about this shit. But hold on, let's drop you guys a graph on the next page of some of the meteor activity in the Middle Ages, because that makes a lot of sense. So let's see. This says, as reflected in the total daily number of shower reports from the Chinese Song and Korean whatever dynasties gathered by this guy, and, you know, got references and stuff. And then it's like, note the absence of the now prominent uh, quaternid and geminid showers. So I question right away. Well, if you guys didn't even name these showers, if these showers were named because of the radiant of the point of origin, which you guys claim that you couldn't detect, then how are you pulling, like, maybe they're just going with the time of the year that these showers happen, right? That'd be kind of the go-to explanation, that it's like, all right, so do you know when these quaternids are, Gabe?
Yeah, they are January 3rd.
They're
First,
January. They're
yep,
January. So basically they'd be like, all right, this book said meteor showers were in January. All right, we're going to call them quaternids. And these were so I don't know, because this is saying that then those, I don't see how they can make the correlation, is what I'm saying. How do they know that the radiant of these showers and call it quaternions because it comes from Boötes, unless they specified that in these medieval text,
right, right,
which they just claimed that they couldn't figure out the radiance till 1830 something. So
totally.
anyway, this whole thing is like, let's just see what's out there, all right, and and we'll kind of go from there. But again, a lot of this story, like a lot of stuff, just if you take a second and you use your head and think through it,
Yep,
there's a lot of questions to ask. Like, this graph doesn't make sense that you could correlate that with that. Maybe put a month there. I would
right.
believe that over calling it,
So,
calling that geminids. Go ahead, Gabe.
so I think that, and this is not the case with every meteor shower, but they're often depicted as uh, much like when the Millennium Falcon hits warp speed and all the stars become lines. That it's almost like they're going through the tunnel of light. I think that those lines are supposed to be also emulating uh, how these meteor showers seem to be in a funnel or some sort of. If you were to do an open shuttered image of the sky and leave it on that section of the sky, you would notice that it is kind of funneling to the quaternids, which is Boötes.
Yeah, it's essentially, the idea is, right, if you I guess if you like recorded the sky and then played it in reverse,
Yeah, yeah.
right,
Then it
then
would
maybe you could see, because it looks like, oh, it's going that way, it's going that way, it's going that way. But maybe if you played it in reverse, you could kind of see them all zero in.
totally.
To me, is the idea of what they claim a radiant.
Yes. And
Yeah.
one thing that is, I have so many theories I'll never be able to put on the air or convey into the minds of other people, but this is a great chance. When I learned about the quaternid meteor showers in January going off in Boötes, I'm able to pick out ingredients of the sky clock around January. There is the what's its name? It's the Aquila. The Aquila constellation
Mhm.
is a bird of prey, an eagle, and sometimes it's depicted picking up a child and lifting off unfortunate young youth from the earth at that time of the year. In January, is this child being swept away? But also, I look at Boötes, which is about 90 degrees around the zodiac, and Boötes I see as Hades himself, because it is the great void. It's a great darkness, an absence of light. And right next to Boötes is the Corona Borealis, which is called the bear den in some cultures, but it's a cave. This archway, this half crescent of Corona Borealis, is much like a cave. So when I hear that in January there's a person being abducted, and then I also know that there's a light show happening Hades or Boötes in next to his cave, I'm realizing that the ingredients of Persephone being taken into the underworld at the darkest time of the year, January. At the we're getting into the depths of the winter. It's all it's a puzzle piece because it's nonlinear, and I call this the whack-a-mole effect. That we're down here in January and something pops up 90 degrees around the zodiac over here with a light show. And so then I take that and I look at the story of Persephone and I'm like, I'll be darned. And then just to make things really fun, the next Boötid meteor showers, which is not called the quaternids, it's literally called the Boötid meteor showers. So it's
I think that's the same. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's in the same.
It's the name for the same two names for the same meteor shower, from how I understand it.
Yep. So the other Boötid meteor shower is 180 degrees across the zodiac. So here, let me get my.
Oh, it's not the same meteor shower, is what you're saying.
Well, it's at a 50-yard. It's halfway through the year. They're related to each other. So I'm pointing down here at where Killa is kidnapping a child down here, and there's a Boötid meteor shower. And then 6 months later, up at the pinnacle of the year, there is the other Boötid meteor shower. And they call it.
I'm trying to make you big. I forget how to do it. There you go. All
nice. Right on. Yeah. So right around Aquila, down in January, is when the first Boötid meteor showers pop off. And Boötid is at the equinox, pretty much. It's in Libra. So that's the first one where she gets stolen. Or maybe she gets stolen at the beginning. I think she gets stolen at the June Boötid meteor showers because she's picking a flower in the field, and that's when Boötid meteor showers pop off the first time. But then we go through the fall, through the winter of the year, and that's the part of the story where Diana, her mother, is pissed off, and she's not going to bring any food. And so the fall time of the year where the leaves are falling off the trees, that's literally the time of year when Diana was looking for her daughter and getting upset. And then she goes down and she talks to Zeus, who is also Aquila, the eagle. She talks to Zeus and mediates to get 50-50 custody with Hades. So Persephone agrees to stay. Strangely enough, in the original stories, it's 2/3 of the year. It's not 50-50 custody, really. But anyway, down here is the other Boötid meteor showers, which kind of represents to me the gods coming together and having a meeting of the minds and working out custody for poor Persephone.
Yeah. So I think that would be explained in the modern paradigm by a comet. Well, see, this is all just like, so you got they're coming from opposite things. What you're saying, they're coming from opposite places in the sky. We just said that they define meteor showers and name them by where they radiate from. So what I was about to say is like, oh, well, it sounds like maybe the comet that they say the meteor's from goes in this loop, right? How we saw in the first picture. Goes in this. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. That one is from the falling approach path, and the other is from the rising approach path.
Like, okay, so maybe one is coming from there and one's coming from there, but we just read that they name the meteor showers by where they radiate from, where they originate from. So how are they naming? Because at first when I said this, I was thinking, oh, well, they're the same meteor shower because they come from the same comet,
right?
In this paradigm. But as you're saying, so we got to get, yeah, I don't know. That's weird to me. It's a conflict. Why are they naming it the same thing if you're saying one comes from there and one comes from there?
It's enough to make you geocentric.
Weird stuff. Before we pull up Stellarium and go through the Millennium Falcon, I wanna drop some stuff. Let's get out of the materialism science a little bit, and let's go and let's shift gears into the spiritual, qualitative, maybe unprovable, you know, words here from Rudolf Steiner. This is where I got this from. I thought he had a very interesting take on comets and meteor showers. So let's go through kind of what he has to say. So it goes, in high summer from a particular constellation, meteors fall in great showers of cosmic iron. And this cosmic iron, which carries an enormously powerful healing force. All right. So what Steiner's saying here is that the comets, and by extension the meteor showers, rain down healing iron essentially into the atmosphere, right? That we then, then it's in the air. It goes into the crops. So and this, and I believe this is pretty much accepted too in mainstream science, is that the meteor showers and everything we see of, they're basically meteors burning up in our atmosphere, which then means whatever they were made of rains down to the earth, right? So there's like a kind of a physical thing to this too, right? That's going on. And
It's
so
like a pollination.
it's like pollination. And so what he's saying here is that it's he's calling it the cosmic iron, so the astral iron. And it goes, and a change occurs in the human blood, and basically the iron into the blood and wages war on anxiety, fear, and hate. So he's essentially saying that the comets via the meteor showers rain down, and I guess August here he's talking about Perseids, maybe rains down this cosmic iron, which heals us and kind of leaves us less anxious, less fearful, less hateful, or whatever. It kind of heals that, right? It's a balancing force. What's interesting about this is we were just rapping on it last night, had the idea of the whole spraying, right? This is spraying. This is a form of spraying. So what else do they spray? Well, the whole thing about chemtrails and everything. And it's like, oh, they're trying to block out the sun. You know what? Like, what if they are spraying the skies to neutralize the effects that would occur, the beneficial effects, right? That would occur from these meteor showers or comets. What if it's like, oh, let's spray the skies, and then it like neutralizes all this positive astral juice that we would otherwise get. So just a theory of another reason that maybe why they spray or whatever.
Yes.
Um,
One
you
more
wanna say
thing,
something?
pumping iron. When we talk about pumping iron, it's just fascinating because that's also talking about your blood. I just love how many metaphors we still use today that we kind of take for granted. But yeah, getting your blood, the ires, getting the ires of your blood to start to culminate and boil. I think there's really profound potential in what you're speculating on with those chemtrails as like a sedation program. Or,
Mhm.
I would even weave this into the even temperament spell.
Yeah.
They kind of mess with our music and make sure we don't have too much emotional response, but I think to a detrimental degree a long time ago. But
Mhm.
yeah, totally. I see that.
Yeah, so he goes on to saying that the human blood anxiety dispelling force of iron is its meteoric activity. Let's see. And so then he adds, like, as the gods with their meteors wage war on the spirit who so he's essentially saying, you know, and how if you've ever read or familiar with Steiner, he's got this whole like Lucifer Ahriman thing going on. And the evil force here, he's saying that the gods are combating with these meteors or whatever given to us, you know, is fighting this Ahriman instinct that we have. I won't go into that. You can look into him if you want. So let's go to this one here. Basically, this is another Steiner, still from Steiner. Says we always have a form of, this is the poisoning and detoxification I was talking about. We always have a form of compound carbon and nitrogen, and then we break it down again. And then this is basically the cyanide or even potassium cyanide, right? I was looking up these chemicals and they're all like, you know, the wikis were all like, you know, poison or whatever. But basically, I think some of these chemicals are found in our bodies, right? For this or that reason, right? So let's see, it's formed, but let's see, immediately broken down. And in order for us to live at all, there must be constant poisoning and detoxification within us all. The secret of life is carbonic acid on the one hand and potassium chloride, which is connected to potassium on the other. So just interesting theory here. And then this is a claim I haven't checked out yet, but so Rudolf Steiner went around and gave lectures. For those of y'all don't know, German dude went around the world and gave lectures in, you know, say the late 19 teens to like maybe the 30s, definitely the early to mid 20s, right? So that's when he was active. So we're talking like 1925. If I had to guess, good guess would be this was 1928. I don't know, just throwing it out there. Anyway, so that's where this is coming from, and he's saying that purely out of the inner knowledge, he predicted or said that there must be some cyanic acid in comets. And then he goes on to say that scientists didn't know, but shortly afterwards a comet came along, and so, you know, somehow they then knew that it actually does contain cyanic acid. And, you know, that kind of makes me question Steiner, that it's like, you know, you're smart enough to how do you, what makes you think that they knew? Yeah, I don't know. Steiner being such a smart dude is like, how do you, what in your mind justified you believing that these scientists said that there was cyanic acid in a freaking comet flying by? It's just, it makes me question the dude. I don't like it, but
well, there's a wild amount of consistency through the occult channel in that the psilocybin mushroom, no, excuse me, the Anna mosquita mushroom, those white dots on the mushroom are packed with cyanide. It's that's exactly why you don't eat them raw. You're supposed to cure them so that the cyanide evaporates as they shrivel up. Or you feed them to your reindeer and then you drink the reindeer's piss.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's just so, and I'm not saying that's how he knew it, but in the strangest way, the whole theory of panspermia and the stoned ape theory, you know, that theory is basically just putting flesh on the bones of the scaffolding that is the Crator constellation. The Crator constellation is not just a cup, y'all. It's a mushroom. It's also a mushroom. The shape of it is undeniably a mushroom. But part of knowing this is because of a ciborium in the church it's a covered structure inside the church. So it's a house inside of a house. It's very bambushka-esque, but even the cup of the ciborium which is a sacred. That's what they would pass the wafers around. It's
Mhm.
a cup with a lid on the top, and the lid on top is both what makes it look like a mushroom, but it's also the cybe. The cybe is this awning or this covering on top. So yeah, the psilocybin mushroom uh, is ritualized, but it's implement of the Krator constellation.
Yeah, that's interesting. I should say one thing too about Steiner here is like I don't necessarily disagree. Like I do tend to believe it makes sense to me that the meteors and meteor showers and all like rain down elements upon us, right? Upon this earth and everything like that. Elements, energies, you know, physical and spiritual stuff. So like I just wonder how they knew freaking cyanide was in a comet in probably 1930 was when that paper was or when that lecture was given and
Yes,
transcribed. So that's what I'm really wondering is how in 1930, you know, did they come to that conclusion scientifically?
it's so
Um,
crazy. And what
it's crazy. It's crazy.
one more thing is like the suicide cults. That allegedly they all were going to jump on
The
hail
comet
bomb.
cult.
The comet cults. There's a
Uh-huh.
strange thing here in that cyanide capsules are a suicide pill
No
for
shit.
spies.
Yep. Yep.
And
Didn't
so,
think about that.
yeah, so even in the aspect of like people going crazy over the comets and deciding they're going to kill themselves so they can get on board, even that is embedded in the cyanide
Wow. Yep.
component. It's so wild.
Yeah, that's a good connection. This is the last Steiner thing, and then we get into to Stellarium. But I think this is important. It's kind of cool. So the main thing in this emphasizes here is that the comets appear irregularly. All right, and so um, let's basically go on here. He says some stuff and says if that were the case, if these comets could appear regularly and disappear regularly, just as the sun and moon does, right? Then we humans would have no freedom. Then everything else would be just as regular as sunrise and sunset. So let's go on, see what he has to say. And it basically goes these so called wandering stars, but he's not talking about the planets, he's talking about comets, are what give man his freedom from the universe. And so we could say that which is necessary in man, right? Hunger, thirst, uh, sleep, walking, so on, comes with the regular phenomenon. He's kind of tying that back to the cycles, the regular cycles, right? Like often, you know, the heart is associated with the sun, right? Solar thing, and you know, the heart beats at a pretty much regular pace, just as like the sun rises and sets at a pretty much regular, predictable pace, right? The same with breathing. So that the regular phenomena that we observe in the sky can be linked to the regular phenomena that we experience within ourselves. Okay. That's what he's getting at. Now, the free will, what he's correlating to this as above, so below sort of thing, is that the free will part of us is correlated with these irregular comets. And so he basically says that it gives us the strength to move our muscles. So he's talking about will, right? What gives you the will? And this is I thought this comment here was interesting, or what he says here. And on the other hand, or on one hand, you'll see today, again, this is probably like 1930, 25, 30. People shy away from freedom. And on the other hand, you see that they have no real mind, no reason to study the freedom. On the other hand, you will see, I did that again. Anyway, that's the same line. My bad. Let me read this again. So people shy away from freedom on one hand, and on the other hand, they have no real mind, no reason to study the irregularities in space. if they were if they were not there, then you would have no freedom. So he's like, people don't care about the freedom, therefore they don't care even to look and observe the irregularities in space. He's saying that that is what the above is that correlates to our free will down here. I think that's cool. I like the as above so below kind of connection like that. I think it's interesting. Goes on to say here that the Honorable Lady Moon and the majestic Sun sit on their thrones. They want everything to be measured. They have no right sense of freedom in the universe and cosmos. Of course, it must be also. But the comets are the freedom heroes in the universe. They therefore also have within them the substance that is connected with activity in the humans, of free activity, with arbitrariness and the activity of the will. We look up at the sun. Yeah, it has a rhythmic thing, just like heart and breathing. We went over it. So this got me thinking about the planets. And, this is something, many ancient philosophers have said, as far as like, I forget who, but take your pick, read about, they'll talk about the planets are set in their course, right? That they all have their course, and like, sure, they may go a little bit faster, a little bit slower, but they don't have that much free will, is in the fact that, you'll never see, they'll always be on the ecliptic. They always run their course. Okay. And, Saturn goes slower than Mars or whatever. Right. So they're kind of set. Now, also, right, I think everyone here has probably heard the term of planets being called governors. And I always thought, like, well, that's weird. Like, what are they governing? Because, from observation, it looks like they're all orbiting the sun. Like, that's what we observe. They go around the sun. It seems like the sun is their governor. So what are the planets governing? Now, going back to this comet and meteor thing, well, why the comet's paths or the recurrence of the comets may be irregular is due to the influence of the governors or the planets. And this makes sense. And I don't know, take your pick of the paradigm, but shit's flying around up there. Okay. Shit's flying around up there. And it influences, I would think that maybe some things pull on other things. I don't know, maybe, even electromagnetically or whatever. And if a comet gets too close to Jupiter or something, it's going to just sway its orbit just a bit. And so that's why we have the irregularity of the comets, according, to the to the current paradigm, is because of like the gravity of Jupiter pulls on the comet, and then it like messes up its orbit. So one year it was 130 years, the next year it's 150. And so you get this like irregularity of the comets going on, where maybe, you can calculate it, but it's not regular.
Right. I like the metaphor of the comet has an obstacle course to negotiate, but it's never the same obstacle course twice, because the arrangement of the planets would make it deviate with variety and change. And then that part where he says that the comets are like heroes, I love that part, because here in a second, when we flip into the stellarium, watch how the tail of the comet is just like the sun has grabbed a sword and is swinging the sword with one foul swoop. And I think that is very powerfully played out in our theater, in our drama.
And so what's up, Polly? Good to see you, brother.
Big ups, Polly.
Jump on here.
Yeah, man. Link is in the telly.
So this Michael thing, Steiner's got some connection with the Michael thing too. He calls Michael's Michael's sword is the meteoric sword. He says, or it's a meteoric iron. So it's the iron we're talking about, and it's the iron from the meteors that gave Michael his sword to slay the dragon or whatever he does.
I love it. I love it.
It's crazy, these correlations, right?
Yes.
And
And
he's got the whole there's a festival in August. You know, it's kind of weird that we don't have like a fall festivals anymore where we used to. Steiner, you know, again correlates this with the whole freedom thing, where the freedom, you know, now all the festivals in fall, if you like look back at history, or all they're like, oh, they're harvest festivals or whatever. But you know, Steiner, and again, I don't really have receipts on this, but he claims that they were potentially more about freedom than about the crops. They were festivals of freedom, which we don't
yeah,
have anymore. You know, a lot of people, we don't even um, the autumn equinox, right, isn't as big a thing as the spring equinox. You know, you even see that today. It's like, you know, less of a big deal. Yeah.
yeah. I've been thinking a lot. So Michael definitely has, because of the sword, he represents.
You glitched out. So he may be gone. We'll see.
Me. There's zapping me. Am I back?
Oh,
Am
you're
I
back
good?
now.
Okay.
You
All right.
said Michael and
Yeah.
the sword.
Yeah.
That's it.
Michael signifies the fall because of the sword. The sword is the wind. Also, your tongue makes wind. It also makes words with your sword. Your sword maker is your word maker. Um, but also the cutting away of the leaves. The wind cuts the leaves. It also, we've gone through the harvest, so now it's time to clear out the old weathered debris, even cutting down logs for your fire over the winter. So yeah, Michael is totally angel of the fall. Um, but then he's also, when he slays Lucifer, when he dethrones Lucifer to replace him, actually, he shows him the scales of justice in the heavens. That's part of the cosmodrama. So that's the scales of Libra. Yeah, that's the scales
Oh,
of
wow.
that's the
Right.
scales of Libra. So I see Michael is very much embedded into this card. And this is the Ninja Turtles card. And guess which of the Ninja Turtles survived in the late
Michelangelo.
you got it, buddy. Michelangelo is the last surviving turtle. It's a sad Ronin story for that guy. They really put him through it. So
Well, that's cool. So you got all that stuff not from Steiner. So I guess Steiner knows what he's talking about.
totally.
Present.
Another part of in Libra, we are 180 degrees from Aries. And this is interesting. I see Libra is very much Athena, as it is the only metal zodiac sign. It's the only sign that's not a living thing. It's a tool. It's an implement.
Right.
And so there's a strong Athena aspect. Also, the Virgo is right above Libra, but right below Libra, just a few degrees the other direction, is the shield, is the Scutum constellation. So, yeah, a lot of aspects of Athena being relating to the alloys of the Libra months. But then irony is on the opposite side of her. Opposite from her is Aries, her brother, and he signifies war, but he also has the color red. But we also know that iron and red are, this is fun. This is really fun. I want to say red is totally vindicated to be related to March because of the blood, the season of sacrifice, the spring of the new life, putting blood in the soil so that the new plants can germinate. But red is also vindicated in Libra because the leaves turn red. And it's almost like it's time to, you're running out of vegetation. It's time to get into hunting things. And so the aspect of blood on the leaves is also correspondent to, if you're tracking something and you've shot it and it runs away, What do you track it with? You look for blood on the leaves to track your kill. So yeah, there's another reason why red should be both in Aries, but also down in Libra.
I like it. I like it. So I got the Millennium Falcon pulled up. I'll just go over quickly what we're looking at here. So this is the desktop app of Stellarium. It's a free thing. You could go to stellarium.org. They do have like a web version where you can just use it. They also have a web, app on your phone, but talking about on a computer, they do have like a web version that you could use in your browser. But I highly suggest that you download, if you're interested in this stuff, download the desktop app. It's free. There's a lot more bells and whistles with it. So what we're looking at here, I'm going to turn off the ground, but just so y'all know that this green line right here is the ground. So whenever we're looking, down here, we're looking, below the horizon. And then this blue line here is the Earth's equator, or it's the celestial equator, where basically you got, this is where the sun rises on the equinox, right? And then it moves like north and south, right, throughout the year. This right here is the ecliptic. This is the paths of the sun throughout the year. All right, that's all I wanted to say. Now I got the meteor showers turned on. So still trying to figure this out. I think I might have a little bit of understanding now. But let me show you guys the color codes I got here. So in meteor showers, we got the green ones, which there was just a green one. Look right there, that southern Taurids. Green one means active. This color yellow here means inactive. See, the northern are inactive right now. I don't know if y'all could see that. Did you do this in 1080p or whatever the highest one is?
I'm not sure. Maybe not.
I don't know. I'll zoom in. Let me know if you guys could see, like, can you see this word here? It says northern toroids.
I see it pretty good. Let me see what the chat says. Interesting. There's a
and then the blue ones, the blue here is generic. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Like, I get the inactive and active, like, because that's throughout the year. What? And then generic is like, I don't know. They're just generic, whatever that means.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think those are the ones not on the list of 20 that I have. We could think of those as like a minor arcana.
Yeah. Maybe they're minor. Maybe they're minor.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. And then I got the comets here. Like, and I was trying to download. Here's the atlas. I saw on your Stellarium, your comet had a tail, like it was flying. I was like, man, how? My comet ain't got no tail. It just looks like a little.
Really? You don't get a tail?
Dude, I was like, I want a tail. I wonder if that's a setting or like the upgrade, because I know you got a newer version. I'm not one to do updates unless like some shit's broken or I want a feature like a tail on a comet.
Yeah, man. The tail on the comet. That's what made me think of the sword, the swinging of the sword.
It'd be so much cooler with a tail. But anyway, yeah, my comets don't have tails. It's just, I mean, there it is, but
they left out the detail. Well, maybe even when it gets close, it doesn't flare up over time. Let's see.
When does it get close?
10.
Here we go.
-8. No, it doesn't even. No details. No details for you. Another aspect of the sword and the comet, I got to say, there are myths that the Knights Templars would go and find a fallen star, and that as they would approach it, they would have their swords out because they're expecting, the wrath of the gods. But then all of a sudden the swords would leap out of their hands and attach to the fallen star because it was electromagnetized. And so there was, even in that mythology, there's an aspect of like, don't approach the powers of the unknown with your weapons drawn. You should come into the presence of whatever this thing from the divine. You should come in humbled and unarmed. Unlike how Luke Skywalker went into the Dagobah cave, he was supposed to leave his sword behind, but he took it with him and got the dark vision.
Yeah. So, what do we want to look at?
Yes.
First on here.
Can we go to 917? Or 915 was when they had that dude laying out in the grass. Allegedly, the Secret Service took a couple shots, and it was in the headlines that this was Trump attempt number 2.
Is that on 915?
That was on 915, because Trump attempt number 1 was on 7-13, which sums up to a 20. That's an Aeon card. Just like 9/11 adds to 20. That's an Aeon card. But the moon was on Spica during the first attempt. Sure enough, at the second attempt, look where Venus is coming right through the hand of the Virgo. Venus is running through Spica over that entire day.
Why is this doing that? Huh.
Also, 15
checked up. Let me reset this.
Okay.
It's not supposed to do what it's doing.
Also, the 15th prime number is 47, and that is the number for silver. And often Aphrodite, I believe, is called the silver-footed one. So to have Venus's silver-footed imprint on the Spica star, they had to do something. That's the other thing about our theory, is that we could almost start to anticipate events with some considerable amount of detail. But I think the reason we can do that is because they're obligated to do cosmodramas, just like clockwork, because they everywhere man is born free, yet everywhere he goes, he was in chains. Yet those who presume to control others are in fact the greater slaves themselves. And so I think this whole theory that we have, that they're doing cosmodramas, it has predictive value, because they are truly the automatons. They are the ones who are displaying no free will, the fact that they are will-less.
I dig it.
So yeah, Venus is on Spica on the day of that event. But then sure enough, there's a lot of celestial bodies that are about to collect onto Spica. Just like you said in our last live, it's like they've fertilized the soil in a certain segment of the sky. That was the moon on the Chump event. And then they have an echo of it when Venus hits Spica, the same place where the moon was. And then sure enough, during the Navaratri, the sun and Mercury all collect around Spica at the same moment that there's a solar eclipse on October 2nd. And then it's throughout the next week after the solar eclipse, this comet comes and it dive bombs the sun, the comet Atlas.
When's the Atlas come? Just a couple of days later, right? Yeah.
It's all through the week of the Navaratri, and it passes the sun pretty much on the same day that is the Navaratri day of Chump getting shot.
So there's Atlas. Nice. And so this is saying, if I have the right comment.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
Looks like 9-1. You know. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I see.
Yes.
So it zooms. Okay. So it goes all the way over there and then kind of turns around at the end of September, starts heading back to the sun, and then goes bye-bye.
Right. And just as it dive bombs the sun, PK, it's also the same time that the Draconid meteor showers kick off.
Oh
And
shit.
it
Okay, right when it gets to the sun, just
right
like around there.
right there. If you just and it's only a few degrees above Boötes, so you don't have to turn too far to see
Sure enough.
Draco meteor showers are kicking off. So a year ago from this date was when the October 7th event. October 7th was a big deal in Israel, and everybody's traumatized from exactly a year ago. Well, the Draconid meteor showers were going off when the October 7th event happened. And now this year, not only is it all lined up for Navaratri and the same day of the chump ceremony from the summer, it's just a template down here in the fall. The same template, the same day is going to be pretty much October 8th. The
It's
3
a
days
short
around.
one. That's just like 5 days. That's
Yeah.
a short, relatively short meteor shower from the other ones.
Yes. And the crazy thing is the if the meteor
It's
is
coming
a
from the
sword,
dragon's freaking head is the crazy thing, but we kind of talked about that last time.
if you did have the tail,
You get zapped. You got zapped again. So while he's zapped, let's look at some other stuff. We'll probably be
they're
back in a
zapping me.
second.
They're
Oh.
zapping me.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you had the tail activated on the screen, you would see how the comet's tail is just like a sword snicker snack at the Jabberwocky. The tail is just like the sun is taking a sword and swinging it in the direction of the dragon with the meteors coming out of its head. It's totally a cosmodrama of the Jabberwocky, the poem of the Jabberwocky.
Man, I want to figure out how to turn on the tail.
Got tail envy.
It looks so cool. I need to change this mouse real quick.
Right on. Yeah, so I'll just kind of talk people through the dates. So on October 2nd is the solar eclipse, and it's total solar, but only for Argentina and Chile.
All right, let's go to that.
And it's going to make
October 2nd.
October 2nd. And that eclipse will only be perceived through mostly the South Pacific, but then it's a S curve. It comes right down along the coast of South America, and it swoops underneath South America. And at that time, Mercury is right there. Look how close Mercury is.
It's a total eclipse.
Only for a couple locations. Only
Yeah.
for Chile and Argentina.
Oh.
And Mercury's going to be right in the neighborhood at that time. Now, again, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that they are supercharging this fear of the exploding pagers. This is just the beginning. This is just the opening scene of convincing people that they blow your ass up with your commodity fetishism.
I'm still trying to figure out how accurate this stellarium shit is, you know? Like, because if it was a big total eclipse, right, it should go over the sun.
Right. Well, I think it's only total. Can you put yourself in Argentina?
Yeah, I'm there. I don't think it's a total eclipse.
Wait, are you in? Is that Argentina? Yeah, I guess so.
It's like Chile or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the thing that was wildly fascinating for me, PK, can you pull up out of those graphics that I sent you, the one
Yeah.
that has the map of South America with the Boötes constellation. This is wild because I've always, I feel uniquely minded quite often. But a long time ago, I started to think about how South America looks so much like the Boötes constellation. And I've corresponded the Boöted shape to the full card. There's actually a negative space on the full card uh, that
You
is
want
in
this
the.
one?
Go to the one with the map. Let's see. This one,
Ah, this
right?
one. Yeah.
Yes. That's great. This says it all. So there's a negative space on the thigh of the full card. And if you put the Boötes constellation on the negative space, it's like it's framing the boot. The feet of Boötes are framing the boot of this character. So sure enough, the eclipse that's about to happen,
It's an
it
annular.
annual.
It's a partial. It's not a total eclipse.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
go ahead.
It sweeps under the foot of the South America. So I put the Boötes constellation on South America, and it's going right underneath it. And
Oh, nice.
yes, and now sure enough, if we go back to Stellarium, look at where the eclipse is happening in the stars. It's happening right under Boötes. You'll have to zoom back a little. Look at look at that. Look at Boötes
There's Botes right here.
right there, and underneath is where this
Sure enough.
eclipse is taking place.
Let's see if I could turn. No, I can't. Eh.
Yeah, so it is wild
But yeah,
for
there he is right there.
yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, I wonder if do you think PK that eclipses by nature will often happen around Virgo like this? Do you think this is just common how most of the eclipses will pop off?
I don't think so.
I don't either because they happen in other months.
Yeah, I don't know. It's predictably unpredictable. I don't know how to say it. I don't think
Right.
they don't always occur at the same place or the same time because it's like two different cycles lining up, you know?
So so I guess what I'm trying to give myself permission to say is I wonder if the Fool card is prophesizing this event. And the fact that I've been uploading these correspondences to Boötes in South America, I don't think this is talking about other eclipses. I think it's talking about this eclipse in particular. And
You cut out again. You cut out
sorry.
again. You said talking about this eclipse in particular, and then you cut out.
Yes, I think I have a bio because everybody thinks the world is going to end right now, and so it is the season of prophecies. But I just have to say that what I've been looking at with the full card Boötes and this Sobek on shoes, the alligator under his boots, I just see it being expressed very heavily with this particular eclipse. I don't think this happens all the time. I think that's pointing
Yo,
at this point in time.
remember we were talking about daytime meteor showers?
Does that say daytime?
It says daytime sexternauts.
Yeah, sextanids.
Sextanids. Tarnits.
Tintids. Wait, sextantids.
Sextantids.
Yes, that is interesting.
Sextanids.
Sexton constellation is number 53 on the IAU list, which is the 16th prime. Uh, yeah, 15 has to do with Kirby, or I'm sorry, 53 is Kirby the Love Bug's his number on the Kirby the Love Bug card. There's a huge weave around the shape of the realm and the sextanid constellation. I didn't know it had a meteor shower though.
And a daytime one, so that's what we were just kind of wrapping on,
Yeah.
is like, are there daytime meteor showers? And sure enough, so this is, is this Halley's Comet debris?
Really?
Uh,
Dude, I bet it is because Halley's Comet does a loop-de-loo around the crater. Right there is crater. And it does a loop-de-loo like the finger of God swirling the cup of hemlock.
yeah, I think it is, at least according to this article, because the title is like meteor shower season about heating up. It's a year old, but says Earth is set to pass through a series of dusty clouds from the debris of Halley's Comet.
Totally.
So that's interesting.
So can you play through, you're at 10:2 right now. Can you bring the camera around both Spica, but can you also have some of Ophiuchus on the screen?
Do I need to stay on there?
Lucas.
How about this?
There we go. Perfect. Yeah.
So here's Ophiuchus.
Yeah, nice.
Right here.
Maybe
And
zoom back just a little more.
here's Virgo.
There we go. Okay, and can you play the Heavenly Orchestra for the next, let's just do 10 days. Let's go all the way to 10:10.
Do you want me to follow something?
No, I just want to kind of watch. Venus is going to progress over to a little more through Libra. And right there.
All right, here's the comet. So you can see the
12th,
comet coming in here.
Yes. It does a dive bomb. Yep. And we're on 10:10. So that is the day of Mahagauri. 10:10. The 8th day is Mahagauri's day. She's the 8th Devi. And then there's one more day, 10:11 is Siddhidatri. And then on 10-12, the Navaratri is over.
And when did it start?
On
9 days, right? So
yeah, 10-2 is kind of the start.
2 or 3.
Yep.
Well, yeah, 2 would be the new moon.
Right.
All right. Yeah, so that makes sense then. Because it starts then, you said it's all about the waxing. So
right.
3 is probably the first it still is like new. I was gonna say maybe it's the first day that the moon's visible, but no.
Right. And there
actually, yeah, maybe it is on 10/3.
And metaphysically, we just have to consider that all of the been a lot, they've been inseminating a great amount of trauma around this moment. And so I believe that the eclipse is it's called if people want to look up the zinc spark. The zinc spark is the moment when the egg is inseminated. And they claim to have captured the moment that life begins. When the sperm enters the egg, they call it the zinc spark. I think that they knew about this a long time ago, and we're using the word synchronicity. And synchronicity is when you have a spark confirming that you're very much on a blessed path through your life. But not all synchronicities are good synchronicities. So yeah, I think it's pretty profound to consider these cycles and these rituals and these ceremonies in the context of inseminating the consciousness of man.
Yeah. And so I've been playing with this theory, and it kind of relates to the Steiner iron stuff we were just wrapping on, the cyanide, all that potassium and stuff. How basically we could create, we can alchemize, metals into other metals. And so it's not like every metal can turn into another metal. It's like they go in certain octaves. I think Walter Russell's periodic table does pretty good explaining it, but basically like iron can turn to copper, copper can turn to tin, tin can turn to zinc. Just an interesting little thread there, because you got what, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and then zinc. They've connected it with the spark of life, when an egg is fertilized. And this is in fish. For some reason I thought they did it was a human thing, but this is the first ever zinc spark in a fish, basically of a fish egg being fertilized, like the time of, they're correlating the spark of life basically with the zinc spark. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, zinc is number 30 on the periodic table. Just kind of fascinating. The tertium quid, the third something. Yeah, the savior baby. So, one more thing I wanted to kind of weave into the synchromystic potentia of what we're talking about. PK, can you bring up in the Telegram over on the Grand Whiteboard Brotherhood channel? I just put up I want to start with the birth certificate. Can you bring that graphic forward? Yep. Something that you and I were weaving on, I just want to share with everybody, is the fact that we're looking at these meteor showers and how they rain down. They fall down from above. And I think that some supporting evidence of how important the nature of these raining shapes from the heavens is the fact that hieroglyphs are vertical. You read from top to bottom. And some say that the priest class could read in other directions to get other meanings out of the language. But sure enough, hieroglyphs read from top to bottom. The Matrix code from the Matrix movie, where the code
does it say something? What does it say?
Something about void. Oh, Indiana Natal Records. That's what it says. Indiana Natal Records. Something like that. Vital Records. Indiana Vital Records, over and over and over. So when they are reading the code in the Matrix, it's reading in the exact same format that the back of the birth certificate reads. And it's the only special bonded paperwork that is vertically articulated, just like hieroglyphs. But I just want to correspond that to the Matrix code in the green type font descending from above, but also with the meteor showers in the Medea showers controlling, pulling puppet strings from above. I just wanted to kind of point out that I think that this type of font seems special. And if it's special, if it's rare, then it's increased in value. But also, it means that you don't have the code. You're not supposed to read this. This is for only people who read hieroglyphs, so to say.
You're missing a T right here. It almost says idiot. IDIOT. I mean, no, wouldn't that be something though? Like if they put that shit on the back of everyone's fucking birth certificate. Look, if that was a T.
Idioi. Maybe it's a plural in another language.
Right?
Maybe it's idiots, but in another language.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then PK, one more thing before we call it a show. I want you to pull up what you discovered from Oscar Orchazo. It's in the Telegram group. Just a couple
What I just wait, what? What are
the
you
day
talking about?
after the day after our last stream where we were talking about the infernal spirits in the Enneagram. You came to me and you brought the picture of Oscar Orchazo.
Oh shit. Yeah.
And his
Man, how
name,
do I
it's in
yeah.
the Telegram. I put it somewhere recent in the Telegram. And I realized that Oscar
There it is.
he has the name Scary in his name. Oh, Scar I Chazo. But PK blew my mind when he brought this forward, folks. Every,
So
everybody
what
get
were we
ready.
yeah, what were we talking about first? First, let's take it back. So we did a stream a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the Enneagram and the 9 infernal spirits that, Gabe has like attributed to the Enneagram for the said, deadly sins type of thing. And so this book that Gabe goes off of, or like is, I don't know, how do you explain it? It's is it like your main source? Is it your first source? Is it one
Mm-hmm.
of the best? I mean, how do you describe that book right there?
Uh,
Go ahead.
yeah, this is so Oscar Ichazo uh, is a
Is the
Jesuit.
author. Yeah.
Well, and I believe he handed the technology down to Don Richard Riso and also Russ Hudson. But Don Richard Riso is also a Jesuit, much like Oscar Orchazo. And I happen to know that in the Enneagram community, it is no secret at all that the Jesuits have had their hand on this thing and they're throttling it through the boardrooms and board meetings, and it's how they're structuring a lot of their business models today. This has been up and running for a long time. And something that I want to be better at is pointing out how what I do with the vices and virtues and the personalities are different from what Gurdjieff was about. Gurdjieff's Enneagram was more about the do, re, mi, and about the math and the numerical correspondences. It was more musical, but Oscar Ichazo is the one who put these personalities into this dancing dynamic that, as far as I can tell, is
Is
it's
he the godfather of the Enneagram personality thing? You could say
personality. Yes, the
right of
person.
the personality thing. Like
Yes,
how most people know the Enneagram today is the personality thing, right?
yes, and they overlook him when they talk about Gurdjieff. They say this is Gurdjieff's system, but really, it's been amalgamated by Orchazo
Right.
or
So I forget
Ichazo.
what's the guy's name that who founded the Jesuits? I forget. What's his name?
Ignatius Loyola.
I
Ignatius Loyola. And buddy, you blew my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. Look at this.
You can't make this stuff up.
You just can't make it up. So there's a part of me that is just like, reincarnation much? But
It's
then,
nuts.
yeah,
Yeah.
buddy. But I would say we can demystify it to some degree by just saying clearly Ichazo wants to look like Ignatius Loyola. And the fact that he turns his head so that the light is exactly the same shading on the same side of the face, the fact that he's got a turtleneck on. I
Look,
just got
he
a
even like got his beard cut the same way right here, and like this little thing.
big time. But then there's a lot more going on here, folks. Ichazo is looking very Japanese in my experience. And if anybody has ever read Shogun, and if you haven't, I recommend it highly. In the book Shogun, there are some powerful revelations that are immortalized in that work. one of which is the ramifications of unum sanctum, the papal bull that decrees that sometimes you got to sell your cloak to buy a sword, and that the spiritual realm has dominion forever over the material realm, but also the fact that the Spanish and the Portuguese were sectioning off plots of the realm and basically playing lots with people's souls. And that is to say, they had dominion over to this parallel, and everybody on the other side of that line.
Oh, you got Zap.
They're in a different. All right. And in the movie Shogun, that fact is revealed to the Shogun. The Shogun is the public facing executioner, he's the axeman of the country. He's kind of the president, but the emperor is never seen. The emperor lives in the Forbidden City, and nobody gets to even see the emperor. And you definitely don't ever make any, you don't flip the bird or make any bad movements towards symbols of the emperor, even. That'll get you axed. So in the book Shogun, Anjin's son has to talk to the Shogun and tell him, listen, buddy, these Jesuits that have already been in Japan for decades before I came here to tell you this, they are parsing out your land, and they have already claimed the souls of all your people after they die. The Shogun's like, what? You can do that with paper? He's like, yeah, man, and it's been done a long time ago. This is old news. You're just getting the memo now. And the Shogun's like, damn, what else is going on that I don't know in my own country? And ultimately, what they don't say explicitly, but it's implied between, is maybe the Jesuits have inseminated the royal family. Maybe the Jesuits have already embedded their genetics into the emperor's bloodline. And that question is to each their own, but it is implied by the book Shogun. And then one more little tasty nugget. There's a real strong theory that Japan never surrendered, that they faked their surrender after the Nagasaki Hiroshima. They showed up with a bunk sword. Their treaty sword that they surrendered with was not the ceremonial sword that was promised. And the flag that they showed up under was a bunk flag. It didn't have the right number of rays coming out of it. So the whole thing was a fiat fugazi, and they never really surrendered on the public. So yeah, those are just some fascinating nuggets, all of which come out of PK showing me that Oscar Ichazo is looking.
I mean, so
like,
what's that mean though? Like, I mean, it's, you say they never surrendered.
It means,
I mean, where do you go with that theory? Like, was that?
Yeah, it means that there is still feuding bloodlines even in the royal houses, and that they are trying to. They have been infiltrating each other's bloodlines, and very likely that Japan was infiltrated a very long time ago, but to such a degree that they could trick the world into thinking that they're in a surrender position.
So they never surrendered, but they stopped fighting. So maybe a little ceasefire, but they're still fighting amongst bloodlines and shit like that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And one more thing about Japan, when they did surrender, you know, everybody knows about Operation Paperclip, where we got a bunch of scientists who were good for making bombs. Well, there was another operation with a different name where we got the scientists from Japan. And the scientists from Japan, their specialty was experimenting on living subjects, like doing all kinds of things while people are still alive. And so, yeah, that kind of leaves a lot to be speculated on, but that was their speciality in Japan.
Yep. I don't know where I heard that from. Maybe you.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the
Maybe
kind of thing that the organ harvesting industry would require. The transporting of body tissues without them going bad right away. So yeah, the organ harvesting black market is probably has its roots in the Japanese version of paperclip. Bro, this was
All
hot
right.
fire.
Yeah. tell me about this. You saw the
Oh yeah, thank you.
southern Taurids going into the northern Taurids or something, and it like jumped. So let's.
Yeah, we kind of noticed this the last time we did a live stream. Is how is it that they call it?
Mhm.
Yeah, they call it South Torrids, but it has a migration. It's clearly moving over time.
And then it jumps like that. See, it jumps over to Pisces, or where's that jump to?
And this was how I learned that the
All right,
South
so
Torrids,
it's
it,
here in Taurus, and then it jumps.
as soon as it goes across that line, it's no longer south. That is where it becomes the North Torrid. But I think
Wait, what? Oh,
if
see,
you,
northern's here.
now, are you playing through the days?
Yeah, I'm just going fast forward days, seeing if northern turns green. Maybe northern's green now.
But it's almost like it's passing a relay and just, yeah, right there. Now it's north. Wait, what?
Okay, it jumped up here. All right. Yeah, I see. So see how they're on different sides of the ecliptic.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Let's bring in this bullshit. So Earth is this, and I'm guessing one's here, one's here. That'd be my guess. Or, huh? I don't know. So, yeah, maybe like one's here. Can you slow? Let's see. Let's see if this works. Gabe, you still there?
Yep, yep.
Let's see if this works. So, what day is like one of these active or whatever? When does it jump?
Uh
10, 20, 25. Something like that.
oh
10.
wow.
All right. So now, like, where's Earth in this thing? Is that it?
I probably, yeah. Yep.
And then, all right. And then I bet the other one, when it turns to south, this has Earth over here. Now, does this explain it? No. Kind of. Maybe. I don't know, dude, because there's I don't know. I have to think about that. That kind of hurts my brain a little bit.
It totally does. It totally
Shit.
hurts.
Kind of hurts my brain. Yeah.
Can you zoom in Stellarium? Can you zoom back just a little? Yep. And then see the Geminids and the Orionids are just are a few degrees forward. They're
They would
green.
be
They're in green colored or blue.
yeah. Okay, right here.
Yep, yep. And then there's also a Leonid that's about to kick off.
Oh, when's that?
It's just over the next few days as South Torrid disappears. The Leonids will kick on. And it's almost passing a torch. and it even the direction as the south torrids are flowing, it's flowing towards the Leonids, and then it fizzles out, and the Leonids almost fade on, uh, as though it were maybe the same phenomenon, but with on just a few degrees variation.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
So 11.5. It goes from whatever they got yellow label to what they call generic.
Right.
Does it ever turn green? No. See, and I got no clue what data, right, they're using. They say, right, that this is think of the camera, playing in reverse. I think that might be like the best analogy, right? That they all are coming from there. So let's look at 11/20/2024. And then we got to choose Leonids and Earth is there. What sense does that make? At 9. 11. What the fuck sense does that make?
Huh.
I don't know. I don't get this thing.
Yeah.
Because you would think, okay, I'm on that. This says on 11/15. Let's make him happy. Go to 11/15. On that. Follow Earth. Yeah, I don't think this is for like a specific. I think it's probably like complete bullshit, but
Right.
You would think that, well, I guess that is the only. You see how here this is like the path that this thing intersects with. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just all weird to me. But yeah, you could see here what they got going on. They got this white circle is the Leonids. Maybe it's the comet. Maybe it's the dust cloud. I don't know. But how it's at a different angle, and that's where it intersects Earth, which is when, yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting. And this is where it's like, okay, I can kind of see what they're saying, but
Yeah.
I still don't get how it's the same with every meteor shower, all of them at the same time all year. And even having
Well, they're not.
but it even has a climax or a peak date that doesn't change. That even their peak or their whatever, yeah, their peak date is relatively in the same time frame.
Is this the list of like because this looks probably about, I don't know, 20, 30, a little bit more than 20.
Yeah, that has some extras in there.
This is 34.
Yeah, there's some more. That's got more that I've not seen.
And so, yeah, there you go. So, okay. Some of them, they don't claim to know the parent body.
Okay.
That's good, at least there. The Orionids, they don't know the parent body.
Well, they have phonicids.
They do. Weird. But so, I wonder
This list, because I'd
if
love to have.
some of these things are the same showers or something. I mean, what do we got here? January, February, missing March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. The only one missing was March. Are there no meteor showers in March?
I don't know.
Huh.
I'm not sure.
Well, that's all that's missing from this list. So that is interesting.
Unlikely. Like of all the, just because March is a season of showers. And
Yeah. I don't know
so,
what to think of it. We got so much to. You're kind of breaking up.
sorry. Yeah, that seems unlikely that March would not have meteor showers, just because it's a rainy season. It has everything to do with the war. That would be unique. That would be ironic. It would be ironic if March didn't have meteor showers.
So you've been seeing Orion upside down. Does that mean?
Means you're a lateral thinker.
Would that mean you're in the? No. Would that mean you're in the southern hemisphere?
Oh.
See,
Uh-huh.
we're still in.
Interesting.
Yeah, because see here how he's upside down. Then when we go back to America, he flips or he disappears, but there he goes back upright.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting that he's in genuflection. He's kneeling. That's actually I see that as the body shape of Hercules more so. I think Hercules should be kneeling and
How do you
Orion
spell?
should be
There it
standing.
is. So these guys, I believe, right, is coming up. They're December.
Yeah, December
Look at our
21st.
list. What do we got coming up? What do we need to keep eye out for?
December 21st, I think is
No, like, do we got any
the
this month or October? This
uh,
says Orionids are in October.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
10/21.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then the next one after that is November 5th, the 5th of November. And that one is the South Torrid meteor showers that we just watched. And a strange thing about the South Torrid meteor showers on
So you bleeped out again. So let's think about this. We're going from the Orionids to here. You know? We'll wait for him to come back. But kind of passing around the idea, Gabe was looking at checking this out the other night, and he described it in a way where it seemed like there was almost a handoff from one of the meteor showers to the other ones. And I don't know if y'all been here the whole time, thank you. But remember before when we were reading the paper, how they how they gave these meteor showers names was by these radiants. And they were complaining about radiance being too big, radiance being the point of origin. So it's like maybe is it possible that like this is just moved a little bit more over up to here, and it's like actually kind of the same thing, but it just like rotated like everything else does in our sky, you know, up to here. And the scientists are like, oh, it has a new radiant. It got out of our circle that we drew for Orinids, and now we're going to call it something else. So, Gabe, I was just talking about, I wonder if we went through the year, you know, but because, so looking at this, it goes Orinids, Taurids, and then it goes Geminids, which are down here. So crap, that kind of blows the theory up. Or maybe it just goes this way.
Yeah.
That would make sense if it went that way. So you got Orinids, Geminids, and then what after that? You got the Boetids or the
Leonids.
Yeah, this has Leonids at the same ish time. Where are they? Okay, I don't know if this theory is a good theory. I bet there's more. Like, there's not just a distinct. Oh shit!
Yeah. See how it's kind of going in the same direction?
Yeah. Then where's the other one? Next one.
Might be Monosaurus, which
Give
are
me a meteor shower.
the
meteor shower?
Monosaurids. Yep.
Like MONA?
MONO.
Like this?
Yep. MONO. Yeah, that's it. And then Monosaur Otids. OTIDS.
I don't know if this is going to be in it.
CER.
Okay, mono C.
EROT.
Oh, right here?
There it is. That's it.
Oh shit.
Right there.
All right.
And this one, what's the date when it's going off? Because I think this is the JFK Day meteor shower. Should be 10 dash or no 1120 1121, I think.
There it goes. So it's a short one.
So this is happening during JFK Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus occupies November 22nd through the 27th. And while Ophiuchus's feet are taking up his tiny little allotment of the morning sky of the elliptic plane, on those days is the time that the Monosaurus meteor showers are popping off. And that happens like clockwork, apparently. And so, yeah, the Monosaurus is, it's on heraldry. It's very important in family heraldry because it's the unicorn. And we know a great many family crests, unicorn on one side, and then maybe a lion on the other side, another beast of some sort. But Monosaurus in heraldry is always depicted in chains. It always has a chain attached to it. And I think that has to do with the fact that the lunar standstills are somewhere within the 30-degree general vicinity that we're in the spring here. The lunar standstills are like a chain. It's like the end of a sigma sine wave. So yeah, I just think this is amazing that Monosaurus.
You see the standstills.
You can pull those up.
Yeah, check this out. One thing you got to get is this observability one.
Okay.
I don't know if it works with meteor showers, but it's good for, heliacal rise and set stuff.
One thing that's tricky with lunar standstills is there are minor lunar standstills and major lunar standstills. And I'm pretty sure I'm more interested in the major, but.
Where is this?
So another part of the lunar standstills is there's one in the spring and one in the fall, just like the public-facing Navaratris. The public-facing Navaratris, or the more well-known, happen either in the fall months or in the spring months. And so they have a higher probability of landing on lunar phenomenon because they're always tapped into the waxing moons. So they're inevitably going to dance around eclipses.
So maybe this isn't it.
I think you're close. This is, I
What
think,
does that say? Yeah, it says solstice. Solstice. I thought this had lunar stuff on it. See, it's hard to read these labels because I don't know like why they're stuck up there.
Big love to Kyle out there. What's up, buddy?
Hello, Kyle. Yeah, that wasn't the one.
Let me see if I can get the lunar standstill in 2025. I think is in June.
Yeah, probably because you could see what I'm doing here. When it goes out, the moon goes back and forth off of the ecliptic, out of bounds or whatever. And if I understand right, the standstill is when the moon goes so far one way off the ecliptic that then it turns around and starts coming back. So you could think of it, it goes, kind of like that. And see how it goes all the way that way and then all the way the other way. And so that's probably around when the standstill would be my guess. There-ish.
So here, I'm just going to read off the little website that I got here. Horizon 10.6 years is
Hold on. Can you start over? You cut out right at the beginning.
Okay. Reason we observe the moon at extreme positions on the horizon every 18.6 years is the complex motion of the moon's orbit. There are two key factors. First, the moon's orbit is tilted a bit compared to the Earth's orbit around the sun. Second, because of the gravitational pull of the sun, the moon's orbit swivels, which varies the angle of lunar travel relative to Earth. One thing I just love pointing out is the 18.6 is encoded in so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And once you tune in, everybody has a pet number. And ever since I took 18.6 on as a pet number, I realized this is in the system deep. It's deep in the system.
Mm-hmm.
It was in 1860 is when the National Congress walked out and they didn't ratify the 14th Amendment, or the 13th, maybe, I forget. And so in 1860 is the year that happened. And the Congress was at a standstill. It's been at a standstill ever since then. And we've been running on a Fugazi ever since 1860. And so, yeah, the sacredness of 18.6 it's so profound to me. And I believe that the priest class today is running psychological operations to ensure that we give the votive offering of fear in sync with these celestial events.
Dude, look at what I just found.
Did you just find all the meteors?
Yeah, I didn't even know this shit was in here. Look at this. Who'd have thought if you click the meteor shower button,
bro, I'm glad
this comes up, dude. I haven't seen this before.
Who'd have thought it was the meteor button, dude? I'm glad.
Does it go? Oh my god, it goes to them.
Look how easy. Dude, I'm so glad we did it wrong.
Easy first. That is. All right, so let's look at the peak. Oh my god, I could sort them by month. Okay, dude, how cool is this? All right, let's get to business. All right, check this out. All right, check this out. This is cool. All right, January, quaternids. So we are. Let's see if we see a pattern. Where are we right now in the sky? We are
being Capricorn.
We're basically like the North Star-ish. Quaternids looks to be North Star-ish.
Oh, right. It's just over the head of Bois. It's like almost his crown. There, right there. See how it's on the crown of
Bois? But it's see how it's it's kind of like the Draconids, but it's just a little bit over more. Okay, so yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like the head of Boötes. Okay, that's where we are now with those. Let's go to these. So that's the same area, more or less. We're still looking north, right?
Right. And we're going through these chronologically, right? Like,
We're going through these chronologically. 2024, January. I did the peak. I sorted by peak.
great.
So we're starting at January. Now let's go. Now we're going to February. So, okay, we saw where this one is, right? We were just like over here. Now we're right here. So we go
Yep.
from here to here. Okay, we just jumped. Jumped to Centaurus, which is cool. But we are, that looks like it's probably a southern hemisphere type deal.
Uh-huh.
All right. Ooh, here's a March one. See how data type confirmed and then generic. So, okay. I think I get it now.
Yeah.
Generic is inputted data that isn't essentially, it's not confirmed. This is assumed data.
Huh.
Confirmed because I go in here. Yeah, that's got to be it. Because I go in here, I go to these plugins. That has got to be it. I go to the plugins, I go to the meteor shower one, and basically I can configure and update it. And so the confirmed ones are documented, done, good to go. I think the generic ones, might be from previous years or whatever. That's my theory right now. So they're not confirmed. If this theory is right, then technically I should be able to go to next year and they wouldn't be any confirmed. There, look, they're all generic. Hell yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep. All right.
So the
So we're
so the
we're learning together.
yeah, buddy. So the Normids, by your read, are generic.
So for whatever reason, yeah, the Normids are in here as generic, but it says they peaked March 14th, but it's not confirmed. So I don't know what that means.
So I'm trying to dig it out of my immense amount of information, but the Normid is it's like a writing crop or a right angle uh, drafting tool. But
Yeah,
it's also
see it right here.
yeah, but it's also considered a compass. Now we got to be careful because there is a literal compass. The pricks or the Pix constellation is a compass like that points north. This is a writing crop compass, but in my read, the shape of it is the same shape of the House of Representatives. And so in March, I'm pretty sure the House of Representatives are passing laws on how much money they're going to pay themselves. And it's really fascinating that there is a generic meteor shower in that same time of year. I'll see if I can dig that graphic up.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know exactly what generic means. It's okay. It's weird to me that all the ones, next year in the future should all be generic. But there's not. There's even ones here that are confirmed that didn't happen yet, technically. You see what I mean? It's weird. Like, why is this meteor shower on December 3rd confirmed? But yet, when I go to 2025, they're all generic. It's like, okay, they're all in the future, but yet these are in the future and they're confirmed. I don't know. So still, things to figure out.
Yeah.
Let's keep journeying through.
Oop.
Looks like we're back to zenith. I mean, do you just hang out up there?
Oh wow, that's the April Lyrids, huh?
Oh, look at jump. What in the world? See, this data, I mean, this is just like data that's weird that makes it do that. In 1 hour, it jumped from the zenith to... Huh. But basically, we are... It's like basically around Hercules. All right, let's keep going to the next one.
I think that Hercules is secretly the swastika. You know how everybody
Oh, yeah?
says it's Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, which does work. I mean, the whole spiel
Oh,
on
shit, I see it.
but
Yeah.
don't you see a swastika right there?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Yeah.
And that's why I found the picture of Orion that he's genuflecting down on one knee. I found that misleading. I don't think the shape of the constellation even looks like he's kneeling. It looks like he's standing with the toga on. And this one should always have a jacked out knee because he's so swastika-esque.
Huh. Can... I wonder, like, if he... Yeah, he does look like a swastika.
And I've seen oftentimes Hercules in art is in that position, even in like Aztec art.
Yeah, I've seen like kneeling like that.
Yep, and playing with a lightning bolt, just like Zeus. But now,
Yeah, there's more going on with Hercules than the most popular stuff, I think.
And strangely enough, like now we know which meteor showers pop off during his time of year, and so there's like a huge
What's his time of year?
He's basically November. He's a Scorpio. He's in October and November. But yeah, so during October, November, the meteor showers that are popping off are very likely correspondent to his adventures.
That's when he's with the sun. Are you saying that's his time of year when he's with the sun?
When the sun is going through his territory.
Oh, okay.
The meteor showers that pop off during that time, I think, are the emulation of his adventures. Like he's born fighting against a serpent. Well, we just saw Draco exploding over October 8th. And sure enough, that's right where if he reached out and grabbed the head of Draco with one hand, well, when he was born, he was fighting two snakes. So he reaches out with one hand and grabs Draco. He reaches with the other hand and he grabs Serpent's kaput, the snake of Ophiuchus on the other side of him.
Two dragons in the Ecclesiastics verse,
Totally.
Chapter 4, verse 6.
Totally.
Yeah, two dragons. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's two dragons. All right. Yeah, so when you're saying it's his time, you know, I immediately thought backwards because when I talk about Orion, like it's Orion's time in December or whatever, you know, because he's basically opposite of Ophiuchus.
Yes.
You know, that's when you see him, basically. But you're talking about when the sun's kind of even with him, as you could see here. Yeah.
And one thing, I make this mistake often on my own channel. I talk about the hero of the sky, and I think I should be more careful because I see Orion as the spring hero, but then I see Hercules as the fall time hero. Um, and I should be careful with that because I feel like I've used the word hero uh, in both contexts. But yeah, I think that Orion is the spring hero, and then Hercules is the fall time hero.
So this is interesting. To the south, you got that, and it's the March shower. Have you ever seen like a map of the winds, the wind patterns in over Earth?
Uh-uh. You mean like the jet streams?
Yeah, like the jet streams and all. Um, basically, I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but what's crazy is Antarctica is basically like everywhere else is chilling, and this might be at a certain elevation or something, but everything else is like relatively chilling. And then when you get to Antarctica, it's just going in a crazy fast, faster than everything else. You know,
Yes.
and
That totally corresponds with they say that Drake's Passage is the bathymetry choke point of the global weather. And so between Argentina and Antarctica is like a choke point. It's where the flow of water is narrow, but the water is extra deep, allegedly. But this is like a choke point, kind of like a ventricle of the circulatory system. But that's in the water, and you're saying it's kind of got the same thing going on in the wind too, huh?
yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
saying it's the wind. And I don't know if it's a free app or something, but I've seen people on YouTube get go around, and it's got all the jet streams going, and you can like change elevation. Um and you could see, and these are like predictions in the future or like measured stuff.
Whoa.
And yeah, and then you go down to Antarctica, and the shit's like spinning a lot faster. And I don't know, it's just interesting here that remember we were talking before about, are there any meteor showers in March? And there is, and it's directly south, which is what's directly south? Antarctica.
Hmm.
um I don't know what's going on there, but it's interesting that the only meteor shower, and again, it's generic, it's not confirmed, might be minor, it might be like, I don't know, who knows how they come up with this data stuff, of determining that that's a meteor shower with its radiant point there, but that's just what I was thinking right away, because this is almost like that south that's
Yeah.
coming from.
And to go from Argentina to Antarctica is a rite of passage.
Huh.
And the Norma constellation is the measure of a right angle.
All right, so we are, yeah, I think it'd be good for us to get a list of I'm curious, where are you at? I'm curious with what are the recurring meteor showers? Because like we both said, depends on who you ask. Depends on where you look, and it's like, well, crap, that doesn't sound very annual recurring to me. It shouldn't be 12 different lists, You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know, I want to uh, designate like an entire star map, like a hard copy, and then I want to do kind of the string that connect this conspiracy
Yeah,
cord
yeah.
model,
Uh-huh.
and I want to color code it. But then I want the yarn to actually articulate the arc of the meteor shower as it's migrating. They seem to be migrating. And then from there, I would be able to look at the larger pattern of a progression
Keep going,
potentially.
keep going.
So here,
How many? How many?
I'm gonna send a image. I just slapped this together while we were talking because we keep mentioning the Norma meteor showers happening in March. I'm pretty sure that's when the Senate is passing bills to whatever plan their funding. It's also tax. March is getting ready for tax season. They're in what is that? April 14th is tax day. Uh, but I sent a graphic of the Norma constellation next to the blueprints of the Senate building. Let me see what it's actually. It's a blueprint of the floor plan for the House of Representatives office building in Washington. That's what it is. And it's just interesting. Can you pull that one up? I just put it in the telly.
Yeah, and I just saved it, but I don't know where I saved it to.
And just, for people's context, adding context, we just had the new normal imposed upon us. And yeah, I see some interesting geometric correspondence. I could have flipped it around, I guess. But it's an abnormal polygon that
What's
the
this? The
f-
Senate or something?
floor plans to the House of
House of
Representatives,
Representatives. Wow. Okay.
House of Reptile Senatives.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, and this is where they pass all the rites of passage and control your rights. And for it to be in the shape of the Norma constellation seems about right to me.
And whenever you look up a constellation, you got to go to constellation of words and go down to Norma
Aw, snap.
and get the gravy. So this is a great website, everyone. Constellation of words, Norma. It's either ruler, level, carpenter, square. Oh, look at that.
Look at that. What do you know?
Looky there. Norma is the carpenter square. Looks familiar. Why is it called Norma, though? Was it the guy? No.
It's Amron.
So, but it seemed to be ruler could level as, what does this mean? Norma et regola, often translated the level and the square. Okay. Yeah.
The level playing field. Not.
In Latin, Norma means what? What kind of etymology is that? Norma means carpenter square. I'm not buying it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not buying it. Booty yoga, do you buy this? I don't buy it.
I guess it's kind of an anagram for moron. Moran.
Oh, look at that. Norman Noman.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense actually. Because, because a gnomon is kind of a sundial of sorts. That tracks.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So anyway, this isn't the best example of this website. Maybe just because this Norma is Freemasoned out. It's Freemasoned out. It's in their floor plans. You're getting too close. So yeah,
Nice, buddy.
that's good, man. That's good stuff. It's right there too.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody expect some schizophrenic graphics coming forward with a more detailed map of the meteor showers, and maybe in their sequential order, and maybe focusing on the more of the confirmed or the official meteor showers, not so much on the generic. And I think this is kind of the puzzle, the cipher, the grand cipher of the Gordians knot, of a great many of the mysteries of the myths of the ages, but also the psyops of today. Big time. I'm tripping on the fact that Spica is apparently correspondent to the pagers exploding. That is a trip and a half to think about. And I know it's not scientific to reverse engineer the correspondence, but for me to have found the relationship of the fetish and commodity fetishism uh, during the headlines of the exploding pagers, it's so profound. And I don't think it's almost like the story doesn't have to be real. Like those pagers blowing up, that doesn't have to be real.
Right.
What the only thing that is real is people's emotional reaction to it. And somehow it's being channeled into this particular location in the heavens where a great amount of energy is all culminating over the next month, including the Navaratri, that is smack dab bullseye on the same day that they shot Trump in the ear last Navaratri. So trippy.
Yeah, I think we laid a lot out there, man. What how you feeling about landing this plane?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, this was an amazing trip in the Millenniagram Falcon. Thank you again, PK, for being my pilot. I
Yeah,
appreciate it
man.
so much.
Absolutely. Do you know how to screen share your Stellarium?
No,
No.
no. But that is something I wanted to be able to do is
because I really liked, you just had a video, right? Of and I liked it that you're like, all right, whatever, screw it, I'm going for it. And it was like showing your laptop. I mean, dude, we could totally see it. It worked,
Yeah.
it worked fine, but I know you record those on your phone,
Yeah.
the videos. So
I want to start recording through the computer though. And so, maybe
yeah, okay.
Yeah, eventually
cool.
I want to be able to make videos and share screen while I'm making videos, just like all the other podcasters
Just
do.
like everyone else.
Just like everybody else can do. But yeah, I want to migrate to the computer more. So yeah, a lot more of my visual skill sets can be shared with the world.
That'll be cool too. And like when you're behind the wheel of just talking through Stellarium and I think that'd be really cool. When you're showing and you jump to something and like, yeah, that's the next step.
Yeah, buddy. Yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. Everybody give love to my brother PK for showing me the ropes. We found the meteor shower tab. Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, man. Thanks for everyone for coming.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun and we covered a lot, man. We covered the nonsense of, meteor showers being a somewhat recent thing, like not being named. That really blew my mind when I first came across that. They're claiming, oh, this was discovered in 1833. Like what?
Totally.
What is going on with that?
I think they're hiding the handiwork of the priest class going way back a long time. Let's see. I want to give some shout outs to the chat. I see my Cherie in the chat. Big love, my Cherie. Quintessence 333. Blessings. Booty Yoga's in the house. And I'm pretty sure I saw Micmac in there earlier. And William Birkin and Lauren Fowler. Big love, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Slick Distant Shared Artistic Expression. And I think a lot of people are happy that they don't have pagers. Like, who uses pagers anyways? Yeah. All right, everybody. Have no fear. Much love and respect. Thanks for joining us.
Much
Bless
love,
up.
y'all.